There's a truth most people never realize until it's too late. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you to win. Some people are watching you closely, not to support you, but to measure you. Not to celebrate you, but to quietly hope you fall short. And the most dangerous part is this: they don't look like enemies. They look like friends. They sound like supporters. They stand close enough to hear your plans, and just far enough to never truly back you. You've felt it before. That strange energy when you share something important, and the response feels off. Not negative enough to confront, but not positive enough to trust. That moment when you walk away thinking, why do I feel smaller after talking to them? That's not in your head. That's awareness trying to wake you up. Because hidden negativity doesn't attack you directly. It confuses you, slowly over time, until you start doubting yourself instead of questioning them. And if you don't learn to recognize these patterns, you will keep people in your life who are quietly draining your confidence, limiting your growth, and standing in the shadows of your potential. But today, that changes. Because once you understand the subtle behaviors of people who secretly resent you, you gain something powerful: clarity. And with clarity comes control. You stop explaining yourself to the wrong people. You stop seeking validation from those who were never rooting for you. And you start moving differently. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't obvious, but it will change the way you see people forever. The first thing you have to understand is this: when someone secretly resents you, they cannot allow your success to feel real, not to you, and certainly not to themselves. So what do? They don't attack it, they reduce it. It's subtle, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. You share something meaningful, something you worked for, sacrificed for, something that mattered to you. And instead of energy, instead of genuine acknowledgement, you get something flat, something neutral, something that quietly drains the moment of its significance. They'll say things like, "That's good," or "nice," or "let's see what happens next." And on the surface, there's nothing wrong with those words. But communication is not just about words. It's about energy. It's about presence. And in that moment, their presence is absent. Because they're not celebrating you, they're containing you. Now here's where it gets deeper. This behavior is not random, it's psychological. When someone sees you achieving something they haven't achieved, or worse, something they no longer believe they can achieve, it creates internal tension, a kind of quiet discomfort. And instead of confronting that discomfort within themselves, they resolve it externally. They shrink your win, because if your success stays big, it forces them to face something uncomfortable about their own life, their own inaction, their own limitations. But if they can make your success feel ordinary, temporary, or expected, then they don't have to confront anything at all. So they respond in a way that sounds polite, but feels empty. And over time, if you're not aware of this, it starts to affect you. You begin to question your own progress. You hesitate before sharing good news. You start minimizing your own achievements before anyone else can. And that's the real danger, not what they say, but what you start believing. Because when your environment consistently treats your growth as insignificant, you slowly start to internalize that message. You begin to think, maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I shouldn't be proud. Maybe I'm overestimating myself. And just like that, your momentum weakens. Understand this clearly. People who genuinely support you don't just acknowledge your wins, they expand them. They reflect your effort back to you. They help you see the value in what you've done, especially when you're too close to it to recognize it yourself. They don't compete with your progress. They contribute to it. But someone who secretly dislikes you cannot do that, because your progress threatens their sense of stability. So instead of rising with you, they try to level the ground beneath you, quietly, consistently, strategically. And the most dangerous part is, you won't always feel attacked. You'll just feel underwhelmed, confused, slightly deflated after moments that should have felt powerful. That feeling is information. Pay attention to it, because your emotional response often detects what your logic tries to ignore. Now, this doesn't mean you need applause from everyone. That's not the point. The point is awareness. The point is recognizing patterns. If someone repeatedly shows up in your life as a person who cannot fully acknowledge your growth, who consistently reduces your progress to something small, then you need to stop expecting validation from them, not out of anger, but out of clarity. Because once you see the pattern, the responsibility shifts to you. You decide what energy you allow around your progress. You decide who gets access to your wins. You decide whether you continue sharing meaningful parts of your life with someone who cannot hold them with respect. And here's the shift that changes everything. You stop announcing your growth to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. You move in silence when necessary. You build in private. And you let your results speak in environments where they are recognized, not reduced. Because your growth is not something to be negotiated. It's something to be protected. So the next time you achieve something, no matter how big or small, and someone responds with indifference, don't rush to fill that silence. Don't explain it. Don't justify it. Just observe, and then adjust. Because the people who are meant to be in your life will never need to be convinced that your progress matters. And the ones who secretly resent you will always try to make it feel like it doesn't. And once you understand that difference, you stop shrinking your light to fit into someone else's comfort. And you finally allow yourself to grow without apology. The second thing you need to pay attention to is far more deceptive, because it doesn't feel negative at first. In fact, it often sounds like care. It sounds like protection. It sounds like someone looking out for you. But if you listen closely, and more importantly, if you observe the pattern over time, you'll realize something is off. They disguise criticism as concern. They don't say you can't do this. That would be too obvious, too easy to reject. Instead, they soften it. They wrap it in polite language. They deliver it in a tone that feels thoughtful, measured, even supportive. I'm just saying this for your own good. I don't want you to get hurt. I think you should be realistic. Maybe you're aiming a little too high right now. And again, on the surface, there's nothing aggressive about these statements. In isolation, they can even sound reasonable, but context reveals intention. And intention is everything, because real concern does not shrink your vision. It strengthens your foundation. It doesn't make you doubt your direction. It helps you prepare for the path ahead. It doesn't quietly pull you back. It equips you to move forward more effectively. But someone who secretly resents you cannot do that. Because your ambition challenges them. Your willingness to try exposes their hesitation. Your belief in yourself highlights their lack of belief in themselves. So instead of confronting their own limitations, they redirect your focus onto yours. They introduce doubt slowly, carefully, almost surgically. And here's where it becomes dangerous, because it bypasses your defenses. If someone openly criticizes you, you're more likely to question it, you evaluate it, you push back if necessary. But when criticism is disguised as concern, you tend to accept it more easily. You lower your guard. You think, they care about me. They wouldn't say this unless it mattered. And over time, those small suggestions begin to accumulate. They start to shape your thinking. You hesitate more. You second-guess decisions that once felt clear. You begin to seek permission instead of trusting your own judgment. Not because you're incapable, but because someone has slowly conditioned you to doubt your instincts. And the most unsettling part is this: these individuals often believe their own narrative. They convince themselves that they are being helpful, that they are being rational, that they are protecting you from failure. But protection, when it limits growth, is not protection at all. It's control. It keeps you within